You're listening to Tripod, the Tricycle creative podcast, created to help entrepreneurs be better marketers. Each episode features news, tips, interviews, and commentary from the worlds of marketing, media, and, well, miscellaneous. Now, here are your co-hosts, Ross Erosion and Chris Slezak.
Episode 4 of Tripod, the Quattro, as we call it around these parts. I am Ross, and joined, as always, by Chris, putting on his YouTube voice.
Hello, Ross. Happy to be here for another episode of Tripod.
I hate that voice. I hate it now that you've done it more than you hate it, having explained it to me.
I don't like it. It's like some weird voice that people have decided on YouTube sounds authoritative and
algorithmically
cool.
It is advantageous to do that voice on YouTube.
But can you imagine if I did the entire show talking like this?
This show is done. This has been the fourth episode of Tripod and the last episode of Tripod. I'll challenge you one day. We'll do a bonus episode and see how long you can keep that going.
Keep YouTube voice going.
That's right. So welcome. I want to again encourage you to subscribe, listen, rate, and comment on whatever it is, whatever platform it is you are listening on, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, the Googles, Spotify. I've left something out, I'm sure. We are all over the place. So please like, comment, subscribe, and for show notes, you can go to tricycle-creative/tripod. What's new, Chris? Anything new? Anything at all?
Not a whole lot. I recommend watching Into the Spider-Verse if you haven't watched that yet. Gearing up for Game of Thrones to come back. Other nerd stuff. Other than that, no.
What else have you been up to? No. And then texting me about how you're being. No, that's not even the nerdiest thing. I'm going to out you on your nerdiest thing, if I may.
Oh,
that
sure.
You are obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons. Not even the game, but some minor component of Dungeons and Dragons. Not even to the point where you want to play. So,
right. I like listening to.
Yeah, here we go.
like listening to Dungeons and Dragons podcasts because it makes for an interesting story without me having to be involved.
You do.
I also just want to create a character and then be done and have somebody be like, that sounds like a cool character. And then I'm like, sweet, never going to play.
Gotta go. I always enjoyed that about old video games, the create a character. But nowadays, you can't do it because they make you run through, actually like if it's a basketball game, I can't create a 7'6" monster with 100 stats and everything. Now I gotta develop his skills, which who wants to do that? It's a video game. Come on.
I bet you could pay with microtransactions.
I'm going to throw my PS4 out my window if I have to pay to give one more point to my 3-point ability for my 7'6" monster. I'm not going to do it, Chris, and I stand by that.
But you could pay 20 real US dollars and probably put a cowboy hat on that guy.
Okay, well, that I'm interested in. That, if I had known that was on the table, that would have been a different discussion. So now that I know it is, I'm going to do that at the conclusion of this show. We have 3 great topics for you from the worlds of media, marketing, and miscellaneous this episode. So why don't we just go ahead and get rolling? So in an interesting turn of events, Facebook this past week has decided to share their data. Wow. Yeah. So Facebook now this has been a feature that has kind of always been on their platform, but very few people knew about it, ever utilized it, ever clicked into it. And I wanted you to be in front of your computer and ideally on Facebook if you want to punch that up if you're not already there.
I already am.
So, okay, fantastic. So I can kind of walk you through what this is, and then we'll walk the listeners through too. So don't worry. So what they have done is users can now see more data around why they are being served an ad. Specifically, they'll be able to see if their name was included on a custom audience that was uploaded by an advertiser. Do you know what a custom audience is?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like, oh, you're a 30-something that lives in Austin, Texas, let's say.
So that's part of it. That actually can be a target demo. But what a custom audience is, I'll say, is a little more, I don't want to say nefarious because it doesn't have to be. It's a little more tricky. So a custom audience could be any of my customers, right? Let's say they don't even follow me on Facebook, okay, or Tricycle Creative for that matter. But maybe they've bought something from me, a workshop, something like that. And I have their email address, and I have their name, and I have their phone number, whatever. I can upload that information to Facebook, and Facebook will take all of the data that you've given it and try to match it to that exact person's account. So for instance, if I had Chris Smith, right, and I had your email and I had your phone number and I had your location, it would correlate that to the same Chris Smith that has that phone number, because Facebook has that has that email address, at least the email address that's associated perhaps with their Facebook account, and lives in Austin, Texas, or has that specific address.
So just as close as they can get to being like, this is who you're talking about.
Correct.
This is your guy.
Correct. And why I say it could be nefarious is because some people kind of do this in mass, and then they can target content towards that group. Now, on the one hand, the marketer on me says, okay, if done responsibly and you're serving up, again, what I always get back to the core of, something that's valuable, interesting, compelling, something that these people want, great. But if you're abusing the hell out of that, not cool, bro. Am I right?
Sure.
All right. So that's a custom audience. Now, this new feature, you can see if you're on your Facebook feed, scroll to a sponsored or an ad. It would say sponsored underneath the title of it or what have you. That shouldn't take you long. It literally just took me half a scroll to find an ad in my newsfeed.
Gotcha.
Okay. So now on the top right, there are 3 little dots. Do you see that? Top right of the ad.
Yep.
Okay. Click that. And now there's a little eye in a circle that says, why am I seeing this ad? Click on that. Now, this is where it starts to tell you information about why you are seeing this ad. And this can be any number of factors. It could be because you are on a custom audience. And if you are, it now allows you to opt out of that custom audience, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
If it's not because of a custom audience, so for instance, I just clicked on one, and this one's very generic. So actually, no, this says, I am on a customer list that was collected by Albert and its partners. And I'm also a person who they want to reach ages 18 and older who live in the US. So I hit that criteria for sure. And a customer list. So did you find an ad? Did you do this? What information did you find?
I learned it's because I am interested in Photoshop.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's interest targeting versus location targeting versus a custom audience, or it could be a combination of all these things.
I was going to say, it's also people older than 27 and recently live in the U.S. So
wow. Congratulations.
That also is me. I just turned 27.
You've done it. You did it. You finally made it to the big 27.
That's right.
So this is interesting. I think obviously you always look at everything Facebook does with a little bit of a suspicious squint. But it is neat. I would recommend that if you're on Facebook and you start seeing ads, check this out. Could be neat, particularly if it's ads that you're like, why the hell am I seeing this? Or I don't want to see this anymore, which you also have the option when you hit those 3 little dots to say, I don't want to see this anymore. Stop showing me this one.
Can I tell you, I'm already like, well, now I want to know more. Now I want to know why
it's intriguing as hell. And when you do that, so hold on, let me find one. what's this? Why am I seeing this post? If you go up to, there should be a little gears when that little pop-up comes up that says manage your ad preferences. And this will start to show you things that, what are you interested in, the information that they have on you, or the information they think they know about you. Really interesting. You can kind of dig into like what Facebook has said about you.
Yeah.
It says I'm fairly liberal, shocker, and among many other things. It knows my age probably right on the nose because I probably have my birthday in there, that kind of thing. So sure. This is really interesting. I do encourage people to go in there and check this out, right? Because this is, interesting and nice of Facebook. On the flip side, this past week, millions of their passwords were leaked because they just had them on some text document, not even encrypted. Boops-a-daisy, just whatever. Passwords on a Google sheet, apparently, or something equivalent. So probably not a Google sheet. That would be off-brand for Facebook. But yeah, so the good and the bad with Facebook. It's always the good and the bad.
Right.
Do you like this? Is this intriguing to you?
Yeah, I'm only half listening to you right now because I want to know why somebody wants me to buy a t-shirt with an alien on it. I don't want a t-shirt with an alien on it.
Are you sure? Why do you like that shirt?
I don't.
Because you were abducted, and Facebook knows that.
Because I'm interested in technology, it says.
You love technology.
Therefore, I want a shirt with an alien smoking a cigarette.
Let me tell you, every person I know that's into technology has an alien shirt. So I think you better get on it. Purchase that shirt right now as we're on the air. Do it.
You know what? If this were on Instagram, I could do it within the store, right? I could do it within the app.
I'm telling you, I've been thinking about that since our last show, and I'm still very obsessed. And now that I go through my Facebook or my Instagram feed, I'm like, oh God, it's coming. I'm going to be able to purchase this with one click, and I'm terrified. Yeah,
it's dangerous.
Yeah, it's very. But so let me also take the other side of this and say, this is also an interesting exercise. For small businesses when it comes to their marketing efforts. I mean, it comes back to the most foundational thing I feel when it comes to marketing is sharing information, sharing content, sharing ads, sharing products and services that are relevant to the right audience. A couple of weeks ago, I sent out to my email list a giant email, and the top of it was, if you're not interested in this anymore, unsubscribe. That was the lead. The lead was go away, which is a ballsy lead. Let me tell you, I didn't know what I was going to leave with subscriber wise after that. And I had a couple people drop, and my thought on it is fine.
Good riddance.
It wasn't that harsh, but yes. I mean, really, I want to talk to people who want to hear me talk, right? And want to hear and want to find out things about what Tricycle Creative is doing, what I'm doing, what we're creating, the directions we're going. And if you don't want to hear that, then I don't want to be the annoying guy. I don't want to be the door-to-door Bible salesman or something like that. Cutco.
And in a way, giving them that option to opt out has made you a better experience with, they've had a better experience with you now because they were like, I don't want to hear this. Thank you for the option.
Yeah, because most people don't. It drives me kind of crazy when people add me to mailing lists after shaking their hand at a networking event. And I'm like, why am I getting this? What what? Bro, that's a step. I mean, come on. That's a big step getting onto a mailing list. I'm not ready for that kind of commitment. Yeah. Come on. Well, I hope this helps you, and I hope this helps our listeners as Facebook users. But again, as marketers, think about how you can present informational, valuable things that people want to see. Give that to them. Be thoughtful of that. Don't just try to just overpower them with mass messaging. Be thoughtful about what you're putting in front of them.
Hello, it's me. We're here for segment 2, which is where I get to say something.
Oh, snap.
And this week, I have a question. It's a question that it comes from my mind, but I think it's one that a lot of people would also like an answer to, which if they have a question of their own, if the listening audience would like to reach out to us, they can certainly reach us either at #hello, Ask Tricycle, or find us on social platforms at Hello Tricycle. Did I get that right?
Nailed it. Like a pro, bro.
So this week's question from me is, I have a Facebook page and an Instagram account, and I consistently post, but I'm not getting more.
Just to be clear, when you say you, do you mean the one you manage on behalf of essentially a entity, not your personal?
Yeah,
it's a business.
Right.
It's for your band, right? Is that what we're essentially talking
Full
about?
disclosure, yeah. In this case, we're talking about my band, but it could be about.
Oh, but yeah, that's fine.
Anything.
It's a different conversation if we were just talking about your personal one, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say, we're putting stuff out there and the audience, just isn't really growing,
Mm-hmm.
You see the same 5, 10, 50, 100 likes from the same people. What do you do? How do you grow that,
Yeah.
How do you do that organically? And is the answer just follow everyone back and hope to rely on everyone else's self-importance to want to be followed?
I'm not going to lie. It's harder to do organically now than it kind of ever was before, for a couple reasons. Instagram, a little bit less. Let's take each one. We're talking like in most cases, we're mostly talking Instagram and Facebook, right? We're going to shelve Twitter, correct? Is that safe to say for now?
Certainly in my scenario, yeah.
Okay, got it. Instagram, I do feel like it's easier to grow organically through what I would say traditional tried and true methods. So hashtagging, using smart hashtags in Instagram, puts that in the ecosphere of other like users, right? And I think that if you can do that, and if people see it enough, they'll follow you. The other thing is, you can certainly follow, like I said, the traditional kind of tried and true. If there's a hashtag you're constantly posting to, you yourself should go into that hashtag and look at pictures and like pictures and even comment on pictures. One thing you can even do is look at a location or look at a hashtag, take 30 minutes every week, go in and like and comment on people's stuff. And don't make it like fake, like a bot. I mean, be genuine. And if you don't find anything in that 30 minutes, great. I mean, I think the most important thing here is that, comment, finding people and posts that you're interested in and commenting on them. Like totally weird, but like I went around and looked at some and I found, what was it that I had found? Oh, it was, I'm food stuff on Instagram. So I saw someone who would was recommending or something like cookbooks or had the stack of cookbooks. And I just asked if you had to pick one of these, what would be your favorite? And started to engage in this conversation with this person on Instagram, and they ended up following. So you can use those more, I call those kind of like the more traditional tried and true hashtags, looking at hashtag clouds. So you yourself jumping into the hashtag. I think obviously it's a little self-serving to never yourself do that work, right? To assume everyone else is always going to do that work. Right. Like go in, click around, like your page, and then you're not doing any of the, you're just pulling. You're not pushing in that situation at all. And I think it's got to be a little bit of both, right? You should be trying to do that, the behavior you want to.
So it's kind of like the Carnegie method of making friends and influencing people, where it's like you have to be interesting, you have to be interested,
Yes.
I mean,
and I think that still works a lot. And I guess you could say that work on Facebook too, but it seems to really be Instagram, it works really well. Facebook is honestly, it's really hard to kind of grow organically now, and they probably love that about it. One of the first things I do with almost all my clients when we jump into Facebook ads is we do a Facebook page like campaign, because it is so incredibly hard, and they've sat at this number, whatever it is, usually sub 100, forever. They've only known the 50 people they're talking to. And then really, let's call it what it is. You're not really talking to those 50 people. You're talking to 5 at any given post. Maybe one catches fire.
I don't want to completely derail it, because this is something else I've wanted to talk about, which is, when you're posting, do you want to post to the people that are looking, or do you want to post to the people you hope are looking?
Well, I think Instagram now is algorithmic, has been for a while, much like Facebook. For a while, Instagram was just time by the most recent stuff. But now that they're both, and even Twitter to some extent now has an algorithmic feed, right?
Right.
The bear trap of posting if the audience is different than the people that are following you now, and posting that content of being like, oh, this is my aspirational audience and it's different than who I currently am talking to. Well, if there's a disconnect there, you're going to get dinged by that algorithm. If you post something that people that follow your page aren't really into or don't engage with in any way, Facebook's going to say it's not going to give you these points. Any algorithm, whether it's SEO or Facebook or Instagram, it's kind of about a whole, the algorithm are weighted, and there's a whole bunch of points, if you will. It's like, oh, you get a point for doing this, and you get a point for doing this, and you just try to get as many points as you can to get it in front of the most people.
So you're saying it's kind of harsh, and it's just like, sorry, nobody's going to be interested in this.
It is harsh because it says what Facebook does is much kind of like Google with search results, is they say, we want to show our users stuff that's interesting to them. Whether it's, we're going to show them a lot more of their friends and family who are actually people. But when it comes to brands, we want to make sure that their overall experience on the platform, remember, it's their playground. You're not paying, but you're paying admission, if you will. And if you're coming in and you're having a terrible time, you're not going to come back. So Facebook polices, if you will, by way of their algorithm, to make sure that people have fun. And how they do that is to say, okay, this post, someone put, you posted this on your account. No one liked it. No one did anything with it. Well, we're going to be a little more weary on your next post. Or what we're going to do is you kind of have this almost like grace period, right? Let's just call it. Right? There's some things we know about the algorithm, some things we don't know. But the first 3 hours, right? You post something, nothing happens with it. Facebook's not going to show it to more people, because that's what they do, right? They kind of show it to a small sample audience. If that small sample audience of your page starts to engage with it, they open up the floodgates a little more and show it to more of that audience.
So it's not democratic. I mean, not every post gets a fair shake.
No, not at all. If anything, it's like Thunderdome. I mean, honestly. And so the things you can do, and the other way that they've kind of like, why it's hard to do organically, there used to be post types that you could do. But Facebook now considers them spammy. So the things where it's like, you post a picture of all the Avengers, right? And it's like, tag your friend who's Scarlet Witch. Not you. You're not Scarlet Witch, bro. But which Avenger would you be, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably Hawkeye. I'm not sure.
He's pretty good. He's an unsung hero. But
Vision?
No, not a Vision. He's definitely Hawkeye.
No,
not a Vision. Not because he's worse or better, but because Hawkeye's a good call. He's a solid character. Solid.
Right?
People don't give him enough due. Okay. Anyways, those posts, if you recall them, Facebook got sick of them. They're like, this is spammy. We're not allowing these types of posts. And those were things that you saw a ton of, right? But maybe you hated them.
Yeah.
But it, your reach went like gangbusters when you did those posts. So it's really hard organically. What I would say is determine your organic strategy and then supplement it even with a little bit of paid. And that's just the reality. Some people don't like to hear that, and I'm not saying that you necessarily have to do that. But I'm saying if you really want to start moving the needle in a significant way, and again, I'm not even saying thousands of dollars. It could be $10, right? And whether that's boosting posts or whether that is doing specific ad campaigns, but staying tried and true to an organic strategy and then figuring out a paid strategy that kind of acts as like a layer on top, the cheese on the hamburger, if you will.
Sure.
Because it is really hard. Have you guys been stuck at kind of like a number for a long time? Are you like hyper aware of that, or?
No, not necessarily. And I personally have been trying to be more interactive. And I try to stay strong on the hashtag game. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I put a lot of hashtags, but it's like, do you just put a hashtag for what's in the picture? You know what I mean? Like how many? Because I also don't like it when there's 1,000 hashtags and it's obvious what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, if it's obvious, but also it works, that's kind of a thing you just got to come to grips with.
I always feel like 5 to 8 is like the sweet-ish spot,
Right.
And some of them, maybe they're inside of the copy and some of them are at the bottom of the post, so. And I always feel like that's kind of a good number to go with, because anything past at any point where you need to stop and start thinking about what hashtags go on it, I feel like that's when you need to stop. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Like when it stops becoming obvious what hashtags go on, that's like, okay, you're good. You're good.
But also, I mean, yeah, my hashtag shouldn't be hashtag blue, hashtag picture, hashtag people, right?
No.
Like, is that not too wide of a net there?
Yeah, that's a little wide. That's a little wide.
But what it sounds like is you definitely need to go through and do the homework. Like,
and I think mix it up.
What are the people that you want to like your page? What are they into?
Yeah.
And how do you direct what you're doing toward that?
For sure. And I think there's tools like that. And I think for a band and for music, you certainly have advantages, and even particularly being a band that's in Austin. I think there's very active Austin music hashtags and things like that, which is probably true in any city for that matter. But I feel like those are arenas that you can play in,
Right. If you're a hashtag bakery and hashtag Toledo,
Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. But even, like hashtag Austin music, I'm just don't like, that seems like something that, might be a good playground again, not just to put on your stuff, but to potentially go in and look at other bands, see what other stuff people are doing. That's the other thing too. Like what could influence it? Like maybe there's some interesting things that other people are doing.
Yeah, sure. Or the people that are successful.
I personally love your Instagram.
Well, thank you.
Do you want to give it out? You'll organically perhaps get some new followers.
I was going to say
organic strategy. Go on a podcast, unless it's Tripod.
Me. Yeah, you can certainly follow at the Possum Posse, or you can follow me personally at Ruthless Chris Steakhouse.
Shout out.
Your choice.
Shout out. New sponsor, possibly you. I'm still working on Texas Chili Parlor, by the way.
So
as
great.
A sponsor, which we're going to work on that. That's going to happen by the end of the year. Going to get that done.
Hashtag Texas Chili.
Hashtag chili. Hashtag end of segment.
Hashtag ring that bell.
We come to our final segment. I don't even know where we're at anymore. What are we in? I feel like we're in marketing now, which is a perfect way to end, because since we last did this episode, I have gone to and returned from both of those things, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Ooh.
Have you ever been there, Chris?
I have.
You have? Whoa.
I have been twice.
Wow.
Flying into and out of Las Vegas for my honeymoon, actually.
Whoa.
So we didn't stay in Vegas, but we flew in and out of Vegas.
Well,
Yeah, we stayed like one night each time.
They still have slot machines in the airport. It's when you know you've made it to Vegas, baby.
I mean, we stayed in Old Vegas one night, and we stayed in New Vegas one night.
Big difference, I think.
Big difference. That's right.
I've heard.
Mostly smoking indoors.
Yeah. Yes.
I think that's the biggest difference.
I really enjoyed Vegas. We were there for really like 2 days, which I think is the perfect amount of time to be in Vegas, is 2 days. Because I think
you lose your shirt, but not your pants.
Yes, totally. Come day 3, we were kind of like, all right, we did Vegas. Now what? Really enjoyed it. Saw a show, saw one of the Cirque shows, Ka, if you must know. It was pretty good, impressive. But more importantly, like a nerd that I am, while I was there, I was still thinking about what are some like marketing lessons that I being the one, not Neo style, but just the one in this situation, to come up with some lessons from this trip for a small business marketer.
Which really is what people go to Vegas for, is to study and learn. So go on.
Yes. Number 1, first lesson. This is what my parents ended up meeting my wife and me and my wife. I don't know. I don't do grammar. My wife and I were down there, and my parents met me down there, and my dad taught me how to play roulette, like proper, how to play roulette. And he kept saying to me, don't chase the table. Let the table come to you. Now, let me put this in a little bit of context. When I played sports as a kid, my dad would yell at me from the stands. He yelled at me, mostly because I was terrible at things. But regardless, there were definitely situations where I was blowing it at roulette, and he yelled this at me. Well, let me tell you, it works. If your future parent just yell things, because this one sunk in finally. Now, the thing about roulette, do you know how to play roulette? Like really, like, do you know how to like properly play roulette?
Let's say no.
Okay. It's not a secret, but I guess the thing about roulette, most people think you just come in, you put chips on a number, right? And you just pray to God that 1 out of 36, that ball drops on your number. But in fact, you can play corners and lines of numbers. So you can put a chip on a corner, and if any of the 4 numbers hit, you get a payout. Does that make sense? A little bit?
Yeah.
It's less of a payout, but you get a payout nonetheless. And this is how, through kind of sustained and constant little wins, you can keep playing. I played roulette for like 3.5 hours.
That is a long time.
Hey man, you're in Vegas. What else are you going to do? So, but the lesson here is that some people also are very sporadic. They'll go this number here, and this number here, and this number here, and they just go in the numbers, and they're going all over the place, right? But my dad was like, you got to just play a zone, right? You kind of play this zone, you put chips in, and if you hit, then you can kind of hit big. But if you don't, you don't. But you keep kind of working a section. You don't keep kind of like moving around, right? And this kind of got me thinking about strategy versus tactics. And most small businesses, they only know tactics. Oh, I'm going to post on Facebook. I'm going to do this post. I forgot to post on Facebook for the last 2 weeks. I'm going to do this post. I'm going to share a picture on Instagram. What they don't have is an overall strategy, right? They don't have, well, why? Why am I posting? And what's my goal?
Right. And you're posting because I have to post.
Yeah. You're posting because you have to post. It's not maybe a thought out post. You just like, oh, it's like, oh, I haven't posted in a month, so I'm going to post something. And so this was kind of what got me thinking about that, right? Is the so often I'd be sitting at the table, young group comes up, typically college guys there or whatever, put a stack of chips on one number, lose, they oh shit, and they walk away, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the tactics way of doing social media. You know, one post, walk away. Oh, why didn't I win? Bullshit, right? You're mad. You flip the table over. No, you don't flip the table over. But so I think that's kind of first thing, right? Is this, don't chase the table, right? Let the table come to you. Keep working a strategy. That's the idea. And a strategy, if you have a strategy in place, it can include tactics. Like, why am I doing this and what am I doing? The second thing. Now, do you know, Chris, when you go to Las Vegas and you are in a casino, you get free drinks?
Yeah, I do know that.
Imagine that. So why do they do that?
To keep you there.
I mean, it kept me there. That's right. I think it also, again, you know, maybe to be honest, probably encourages poor decision making.
True. Yeah.
Right.
I overlooked that part. Yeah.
But no, I mean, it does, right? We're not going to run with giving your customers booze. Although, I mean,
horrible strategy, depending on.
That's a terrible strategy, I guess, unless you're a booze company. Even then, bad strategy. Better strategy is in the vein of keeping your customers happy. Kind of gets back to one of the things we were talking about before. Post and create content that will delight and add value to your audiences. And this is inclusive of ads too. Ads don't have to be terrible. They don't have to be terrible. They can be creative. They can be interesting. They can add value, you know? So I think this is about keeping your customers happy without booze.
Or with it, if applicable.
Or, I mean, listen, if it makes sense, but I think that's going to be a harder move for people to do, right?
I suppose via social media. Yeah, probably.
Well, maybe give it time. Maybe through like one of the VR or something like that. It'll be coming soon to a headset near you. It'll have like a little straw that also dispenses alcohol right into your mouth or into your bloodstream. Because why even go through the mouth?
I don't even want to start thinking about a VR Las Vegas where I can just go from the comfort of my own office chair.
I would also say that more than 2 days in Vegas, you start to notice things about Vegas. Like sadness. When you're like 2 days in, you're like, yeah, it's fun. And then 2.5 days in, you're like, oh man,
it's
that
like
person spent their retirement on that slot machine.
It's like if you've ever been at your favorite bar in the daytime and the lights are on and you notice all the imperfections and gross things that you don't see at night when it's dark. It's like
there was an old dive bar we would go to in Washington, D.C. that I would never step foot in during the day because God knows what kind of hellhole that place was. I never noticed because you go at night. So my final tip from Las Vegas, Nevada is try a new machine. And by that, I mean, when you are in Vegas, you get a magical ESP power where you walk around and you think this machine's, oh, this one's hot. This one's going to pay off, right? It doesn't. It didn't. Maybe it does. I don't know. But if it doesn't, it's okay to get up, try a different machine. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not necessarily counter to my first point, right? Because if you still have a strategy in place, you can tweak again the tactics a little bit. But I think it's very important you want to play something out long enough to see if you can get the results or have it be part of the plan. Hey, we're going to try this type of posting for a month. See how it goes. Right? Check in a month. How'd it go? What do we tweak? Don't be afraid to do that. I think a lot of small business. This is the beauty of social media and digital marketing. You can pivot super quick. You can move around. You can try different things. But I still think it is important to not do it knee jerk, right? To give yourself a little leeway, right? So that, all right, we know this isn't working. Let's try something a little bit different. You have that opportunity when it comes to kind of social media marketing and digital marketing.
Your advice would be play a penny machine 100 times as opposed to a dollar machine one time.
I think that's pretty succinct. Yeah, that's pretty good. And if anyone's interested in this kind of, I think there's a concept. I recently read the book. It's a Seth Godin book called The Dip. The long title is The Dip, a little book that teaches you when to quit and when to stick. Long title. Great book. Great book. Because he has a quote in there. Strategic quitting is the secret of successful organizations. Reactive quitting and serial quitting are the bane of those that strive and fail to get what they want. And most people do just that. They quit when it's painful and they stick when they can't be bothered to quit. It is a great book about trying to figure out when is the right time to kind of ride out that dip. When's the right time to say, you know what? Screw this. I'm out of here. Great book. Highly recommend it. Again, it's called The Dip by Seth Godin.
And I would like to recommend The Dip by Freak Nasty, which teaches us that I put my hand up on your hip, and when I dip, you dip, then? And then we dip.
So it's teamwork.
Yeah.
Is this a team building exercise? I think I did this at an HR retreat at one point. How does it go again? Who does what? Refresh me. I do. This sounds a little bit like something I used to, the hokey pokey, which apparently that's what it's all about.
From what I understand, yeah.
That's from what I understand also. It's what it's all about, my friend. So is this helpful to you?
I think so. To me, yeah. I hope other people have also gathered something from it. I mean, I do like your Vegas as a metaphor. I read the post up on the website, and
we do. Yeah. Yes, I did a blog on this very subject. I'll share it in the show notes. Again, it's tricycle-creative/tripod. I'll share the blog post about goes a little more in depth about these items. So I also have one pretty much everywhere I go. I find marketing and sales metaphors because that's what cool people do. I have one from Greece also. So go at it. Whenever I'm traveling, I'm nerding. My wife saw me writing this blog post in my journal. Yep. That's right. I said journal. And she said, "You are such a nerd." And I said, "You are right."
Can't argue that.
Rude. Episode Quattro in the books. Chris, thank you. Good show.
Yeah.
High five. Whoa. Was that added in post?
Yeah.
That was great. I want you to add a canned high five sound effect in post. Or do like a Foley. I want to see you like in a closet recording high five sounds for at least 3 hours. 3 hours of high five sounds that I want on my desk tomorrow, young man.
I'll take a picture of it and hashtag high five.
I want 3 hours of high fives, and I want to approve. I want them numbered because I want to approve them. All right. I'm going to pick the one that I like best. Again, I want to encourage you, subscribe, listen, comment, like, don't like, whatever it is on whatever platform you're listening, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever the hell else. I listen on Overwatch, a lovely Apple or iOS app alternative for podcasts to the Apple Podcast app, which I find is terrible, but a lot of people like it. Overcast. Listen today.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. I didn't like all the options or the lack of options that Apple Podcasts app gives you.
I'm a Stitcher guy.
I love Stitcher. I was using Stitcher for a while too. Their playlisting gets a little confusing though for me at times, so that's when I switched over to Overcast. But I loved and would definitely support and recommend Stitcher for anyone out there that again is still using Apple Podcasts. Again, it's a great starter app, but when you really want to start, playlisting stuff together. Stitcher is fantastic, and again, Overwatch is good too. And both are free, or at least freemium. Like they may have some premium features, but you can get it done for free on those platforms. Am I right?
Yes.
And you were also instructed to follow Chris's band. Chris, again, the handles, please.
The Possum Posse.
Do it.
Or you can
Do
look
it.
up hashtag Guy in a Buffalo.
Do it now. 1, 2, 3. Shake my hand. Do it. All right. A bunch of people just did it, Chris. So that should be awesome.
Cool. Thanks,
and
guys.
we will be coming at you next time. If you have any questions between now and then, again, you can send them to us at Hello Tricycle or use the hashtag AskTricycle. And I look forward to seeing everyone and you hearing me on episode 5.
Thanks for listening to Tripod. For show notes and bonus content, go to tricycle-creative.com/tripod. Connect with Tricycle Creative on Facebook and Instagram at Hello Tricycle. Connect with Ross at Ross Hero. Connect with Chris on Instagram at Ruthless Chris Steakhouse.